In a moment, we're going to open up a larger file that has a lot more code in it. This extra code will make it easier for you to recognize the patterns that recur within programming. Being able to recognize and reproduce patterns in programming is one of the most important skills you can have. The first pattern we're going to look at is symmetry. In programming, you'll see a lot of opening and closing elements, such as parentheses, quotation marks, and curly brackets. The next item we're going to examine is color coding. Most text editors will offer color coding as a feature to help you identify the correct spelling of functions and commands within a particular language. For example, the EFS text editor will color code in blue particular functions that it recognizes from the JavaScript language. This is an aid to help you identify what might work or what might be broken with your code. Special characters are a commonly occurring pattern within different types of languages. In this language, you'll find that the comma, semicolon, quotation marks, and periods are all special characters with specific meanings. Capitalization is important in JavaScript. It's a case-sensitive language. Some languages are case-insensitive, where it doesn't matter if you type a particular instruction in upper or mixed or lower case. In JavaScript, you need to know for each letter whether it should be uppercase or lowercase in a particular command. Let's take a look at some code, and then we'll identify these patterns as they occur in the code. I'm going to open up a particular file that has a lot more code in it that'll allow us to easily see the patterns within the code. The file I'm going to open is in this alerts folder, and it's the alertbuttons.efs. You should have this file as well. Go ahead and take a moment to open it with me. Here's the file, and if you look through it, you should immediately see some of the patterns that we've been talking about. The first pattern we mentioned was symmetry, and clearly you can see the symmetry with the opening and closing parentheses, the opening and closing curly brackets or French braces, and further down in the file, the opening and closing quotation marks. The next pattern we talked about was color coding. Color coding is a feature that the EFS text editor provides to you to help you with your code. The EFS text editor will color code in a light blue any function that it recognizes, for example, get current bar index. This will tell you that you spelled it correctly. If I accidentally type another X in here, you'll see that it immediately becomes black and tells me that it doesn't recognize that instruction. I would have to look specifically into these two to find out why they were black instead of blue, but I can tell that this is a recognized instruction. Likewise, numbers show up in red, and anything that's within double quotes shows up in a light purple. The next topic we talked about was special characters. Special characters show up all over this file. Quotation marks are special. They designate a certain kind of color coding that should be applied to the text within the double quotes. If you look further down, you'll see semicolons at the end of most of these lines. The semicolon indicates the end of an instruction. We'll cover this in further detail later, but you should see semicolons throughout all the files that are EFS studies. Finally, the capitalization is an interesting feature of JavaScript. If you look through the file, you'll notice that many of these instructions are composed of multiple words, the first word of which is lowercase, but subsequent words are in initial caps. And that's a standard for writing JavaScript instructions. If you have a multi-word instruction, the first word will be in lowercase, and subsequent words will have initial caps.